UTM has been the biggest blessing to macOS virtualization since the switch to Apple Silicon. In March of last year, I showed you how to install Windows into UTM for free. I get a lot of questions about errors and changes in the application since that video launched last year. Well, running Windows free on macOS seems to be a really important topic for people, so I wanted to make an updated video showing you how to do it in the first half of 2025. This is B from Tate Talk Tech, and today I'm going to be showing you how to set up a Windows 11 VM in UTM in the first half of 2025, so stick around. I have a favor to ask. If you like this type of video and want to see more content like it, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell button for notifications. Also, don't forget to give this video a like if you like it. Let me know if you liked, didn't like, or if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or emotional outbursts in the comments below. And lastly, stick around all the way to the end to get the most out of this video. Let's do this thing. Alrighty then, so the first thing that we're going to need to do is download an application called Crystal Fetch. Crystal Fetch is just an application that will allow us to download ISO images of Windows, and especially the ARM version. So let me go ahead and just type that in here. And I actually already have this installed, and you can see that here. It's a free application. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Just go ahead and hit install, and you'll do it directly through the App Store. And once Crystal Fetch comes up, it's going to give you a few different pieces, sections here. It's going to have version, architecture, language, and edition. So the version, if you want, you can go ahead and do this with Windows 10. We are going to be doing a Windows 11 for this video because it's the most current version of Windows. We're going to go ahead and pick our architecture. Now this is going to be really, really important. Make sure that you have Apple Silicon selected here, because if you have Intel x64, it is not going to work with an Apple Silicon Mac. Now, if you're using UTM, I'm not 100% sure if it's available on Intel Macs. I think it is. So make sure that you are confirming which one you're using. And if you are using it on an Intel Mac, you'd want to use this one. But this one's going to be primarily focused around the Apple Silicon versions. So just keep that in mind. And you can select your language here. It's got all the usual languages and all that stuff. And then you can also go ahead and select Windows 11 edition right here. You can also get Enterprise N. I don't need Enterprise, so I'm going to go ahead and stick to Windows 11. And then we're going to go ahead and hit download. And it's going to just launch up the terms. You just go ahead and accept. And then it's going to go ahead and start updating. Now this part is going to take a little bit of time. You can see that here. It's getting close. It's almost close to half a gigabyte. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. And once this is done downloading, I'll go ahead and come back. And we can go ahead and continue forward with the installation. Right here, and it's just about done with the download. It does quite a few different things, as you've probably seen, and then what it's going to do is it's going to pop this up. So what I want to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and just hit, you can select a different location if you want to put it somewhere else. I'm just going to put it in my downloads. I'm fine with that. All right, perfect. There we go. And it is all downloaded. It doesn't look like anything's happening, but it is downloaded. If you do go up to your files, just getting mine's off screen here. You can see right here. I had actually previously downloaded this one. It's the same version. I'm just going to actually delete that one real quick. And you can see that one right here, that we do indeed have it right there. And we can see that it ends in ISO, so we know it's the correct image. So perfect, cool. We've got that done. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. I'm going to close out Crystal Fetch because we won't need it anymore. We also don't need the App Store. So the next thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get into UTM. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up. Now, UTM is available from the App Store, but you will have to pay for that version. But you can get it for free on their website with a DMG image. So just go ahead and make sure that you're doing whichever one your budget supports. I do encourage people to download it from the App Store because that does help fund the project, and that will give them more income to put towards that project and help keep things moving forward. I'm not actually going to be covering installing that or setting it up or anything like that in this video. Now I do plan on doing an introductory video in the future, so just make sure you're subscribed for that. So again, just like Crystal Fetch, UTM can be obtained from the App Store, All right, so let's go ahead and get things moving here. All right, so the first thing that we're going to want to do here is, now that we're in UTM, already have some existing VMs. We're going to go ahead and hit this plus sign right here. And we're going to go here we're going to get the start. We're going to go ahead and hit virtualize. We're going to hit Windows. And then once we come up to this screen, we're going to go ahead and come down here to browse. And then we're going to come over here to wherever we located our ISO image, and we're going to hit open. It won't let you go forward if you don't select that. So let's go ahead and hit continue. So with this right here, what you're doing here is you're basically setting up how much RAM do you want to give it. And it defaults to 4096. I'm going to give it 8192, which is 8 gigabytes of RAM. I do recommend giving it 8 gigabytes of RAM just because Windows tends to be a bit more RAM heavy than a lot of other operating systems. So just keep that in mind. And this CPU, you can set up to as many CPU cores as you want. I just leave it as default, and I've never had any issues. So we're going to go ahead and hit continue. And then this is where you're going to specify how much storage you want the VM to have. The default is 64, which I am good with. I do recommend at least 50 gigabytes. Keep in mind you can use less than 50 gigabytes, but you may run into problems with the responsiveness of the system, because the more your Windows install drive ends up filling up, is the slower that it can start being as far as response goes and things like that. So I'm going to be good with 64, so I'm going to hit continue. And then here, if you want to set up a shared directory, I'm not doing that here, so I don't care about that. I'm just going to put this as Windows 11, and we're just going to put 2025, because I already have one that I use, which is the one up there. I very rarely use it, but it's there. Then we're going to hit save. Perfect, and it has been created automatically here. You shouldn't have to make any other adjustments, because one of the things that it does now that it didn't do previously is that now it automatically installs the guest tools, which will give you a bit more functionality with your Windows virtual machine and all that stuff. So, and we can see here we've got the ISO image, we can see our size, all that kind of stuff. So it's got everything here. So now what we want to do is we want to hit play. And this is usually where people are running into issues. So once we've got everything started here, it's going to start to boot, and then here we'll just hit whatever button we want. I just hit enter when that happened. Now, so a few different things can happen here, at least as far as issues come up. So I've seen it where it'll go directly to like a command line prompt. If it goes to that command line prompt, I forget what it says exactly, but if it goes to that command line prompt, just type exit, and then it should load into Windows. Or it may send you into the BIOS for the virtual machine. If it does that, just select exit, or don't save and exit, or whatever. I forget what exactly it says. And then go, and it should boot into Windows at that point in time. So now that we've got into the actual install media, we can see here, I don't have a product key, so we're just going to do that. And keep in mind that this will vary depending on what time you're doing this. Keep in mind the steps may look a little bit different in a few weeks, few months, things like that. So the basic principles are all the same. So then it's just searching for the disk here. It's got that one right there, 64 gigs. Next, we don't need to do any resizing of that stuff. Yeah, and there you go. This has been updated from what it previously looked like. So it'll go through all of the steps to go ahead and get it installed. It's going to look different depending on what time period you're doing this. So I'm not going to sit here and go through the actual Windows installation, because here it's going to do the full install. And you know what I'll do is I'll go ahead and pause the video here. I'm going to let it finish up the install, and then I'll show you what it looks like once it's done. Okay, so it finished installing, but what ended up happening here is it ended up going back to the initial install. So this is another error that I've had people had questions about, and I mentioned this in the last video. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to power this down. We're going to hit OK, and then what we're going to do here is let's just close this window out. Come back over here to the VM. We're going to go down, and we're going to go ahead and pop this out. There we go. See that first one had the ISO image in there? And then what we're going to do is we're going to come back up here. We're going to hit that little play button, and it should go ahead and start booting into Windows. Don't worry about these errors. There, it's fine. It happened. It's been happening since I initially installed Windows last year. So, one of the things I would say it would be nice just for, just for simplicity purposes, is if it would, automatically remove the install media. And I know that there's things that they have to do, and I'm sure the team's aware of it at UTM. Just to make it a little bit easier for novice users and everyday users and stuff like that, because there's a lot of people out there that aren't IT pros or anything like that, so they're just using this as a means to use some application, and they don't want it to be difficult. But yeah, see, there we go. Now we have all the prompts for all of that, all the rest of the process for setting it up. That I'm definitely not going to go through, but I wanted to show you that part because that is another thing that does come up. So, yeah, it's pretty simple. I honestly really love this application and the work the team has been doing on it over, I think, like the last 4 years or so. I've been using it for about 2 years now. Absolutely love it. This is such a great alternative to playing $100 plus for Parallels. I'm not sitting here knocking Parallels. I just don't want to pay that much for it. And if I can find a free and open source thing that I can use that meets my needs, I'm definitely going to go ahead and do that. Like I said earlier, I do want to do an intro video to UTM and do more coverage of it in the future. So let me know what type of UTM topics you would want me to cover down in the comment section below. Make sure to check out this other video from my channel. Remember, mistakes make you better, so keep on making them. Thank you so much for watching my video, and have the greatest of days.